and welcome back to another episode of Cavities to Cashflow, where we help dentists explore the world of real estate and learn the power of passive investing. On this show, I sit down with real estate professionals and discuss the ideas, the opportunities, and the strategies that they're taking advantage of, that I can help you learn and benefit from their experience without having to learn by mistake. I am your host, Michael Chenot, and I want to thank you for joining us for another great episode. If you are enjoying the show, please help us out by providing some feedback and let us know what you're enjoying, what you might wish was different, and how we can make our episodes even better and more helpful for you. We're about to drill down, so grab a pencil and paper, sit back and enjoy. And welcome again to the Cavities to Cashflow podcast.
The world of real estate and learn the power of passive investing. On this show, I sit down with professionals with real estate and dental professionals and discuss the ideas, the opportunities, and the strategies that they're taking advantage of so I can help you learn and benefit from their experience without having to learn by mistake. I am your host, Michael Chenot, and I want to thank you again for joining us for another great episode. I am super excited because today I have with us Dr. Noel Liu, who is a practicing general dentist, a mentor, and fellow podcast host. So before I properly introduce our guest to you and we get started in this, I want to ask the audience for a quick favor. If you're enjoying the show, please help us by providing some feedback and let us know what you're enjoying, what you might wish was different, and how we can make our episodes better and more helpful for you. Please be sure to share this episode with your friends, send it to someone who might be or could be interested in real estate, share it on your social media, post it on your wall or in your stories. Help us spread our message and reach people that might need our help. So for all of you who share this episode, thank you very much. Now we're about to drill down. So grab some pencil and a paper and sit back and enjoy the show. And as I mentioned, we are here with Dr. Noel Liu. I pulled a little information about your background from your website. I saw that you are currently, as I mentioned, a dentist, mentor, podcast host, and graduate of NYU College of Dentistry. That's
That's
pretty
right. That's
exciting.
right.
Did you
Thanks for
were you
having me.
born and live up around New York at all, or you just went there for school?
I just went there for school, Michael. Not New Yorker at all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's too
So
bad because I'm from Rhode Island, so I thought we would have a little bit to bond with right
nice.
there, but I guess not.
No, I have a lot of friends from New York, so I kind of feel the passion that you have for the Northeast corner. So I completely understand.
Oh, cool, cool. Okay, and I saw you are co-founder of Secure Dental with multiple locations, so that's going well for you. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes, all right. And in addition, excuse me, to your practices, I saw you are passionate about mentoring and guiding associate doctors from their transition from students to clinicians.
Absolutely, Michael. That is one of my passions. And when these guys are coming out of school, it's little that they know about dentistry in terms of business and how to be efficient clinicians. And that is where my strength lies, to take these guys from, uh, student life, and how to take that all that knowledge they got and how to apply it in the clinical world, because in the real world, it's a different story. So, like you said, your wife being a dentist, you know exactly what she went through, right? So that's
Absolutely.
where my passion lies.
That's great. And I guess they need it, right? Because I heard in one of your podcast episodes, and my wife has mentioned, they don't teach you guys much about kind of the business world and beyond the medicine, right? So it's kind of up to you, and hopefully you get a good mentor as you get out to help you navigate through the world of kind of either operating within a practice or hopefully someday, owning your own.
Definitely. Last this fall, I mean, this is like a few months back, I had the honor and the pleasure of speaking at NYU, my school that I graduated from. I was invited by the dean, and I spoke to the D1 students as an alumni. And one of the biggest things that the takeaway they gave was that, this is all new to them, and most of these guys have been doing other jobs before they're going to dental school. So with that being said, like, when we talk about mindset, we talk about business, we talk about finance, we talk about the operations. There's so much things that even then, like when it's time to graduate, it's like none of those areas are fulfilled ever in dental school. So I've heard, now I'm not sure, don't quote me, but I've heard that dental schools have started to implement some of the business side of dentistry in the curriculum.
Okay.
So which could be a great plus.
They must be getting all this feedback from people, right? I mean,
Right. Like your wife being a dentist and me being a general dentist, my wife is a dentist. So what we see is day to day, we are really good at what we do in terms of the technical skills. But hey, when it comes time to for sales, for communication, for business, for reading a personal financial statement, a P&L in a business, that's where we get lost, right? That's where we start
sure.
feeling that, hey, this is foreign. So I'm glad that these guys are acknowledging and they are looking into it and they are really going to be working on this aspect. So I'm really, really glad.
Excellent. All right, if we could just take a step back or so, we kind of started jumping right into the meat and potatoes here. So generally, first, what I like to do is kind of ask my guests to give a little bit, kind of expand upon their bio, since obviously I just touched generally. Well,
Definitely.
I suppose first what I should do is confirm with you and make sure everything I said is accurate, right? So I think you're kind of not alone. So I had all the
Spot on.
facts, right? So okay. So is there anything you want to add or kind of elaborate on as far as your background?
Yeah, I'm just going to elaborate a little bit how we started. So, like many of your
Sure,
audience that are listening to this podcast, I'm a general dentist as well, and I kind of fit in the shoe, and I completely understand the day-to-day activity that goes on. I started as an associate back in 2007. That's when I graduated from NYU College of Dentistry. Working for a corporate dentist, style kind of scenario. We had multiple, operatories, multiple dentists in one location, and just trying to get the hops and trying to learn all the stuff that we experience like as clinicians. Little did we understand at that time, like when I say we, me and my wife, like we understand like there is something called, we need mentors, right? And that is something where we lacked when we got out of school. So, which is why my passion lies to actually train and help these new dentists coming out of school is how to become, efficient clinicians from dentistry, like from dental school. And that is one of those aspects where I fell short in when I started as an associate dentist. So we worked about 4 to 5 years, and in about 2012, that's where we founded Secure Dental, and it's based in Peoria, Illinois. And we opened up our first practice. We loved it. We killed it, and that's when we started doing one practice a year. Eventually, in 2018, where we ended up with four practices, but then again, it was one of those growing pains where we shouldn't have done that, looking back, because we had like a lot of stuff that was going on, a lot of moving parts, and trying to
sure,
get the systems and people in place, trying to replicate, many of the processes. It was out of our wheelhouse.
sure.
So we kind of like, I wouldn't say crash, but we came down to our knees to a point where cash flow got stranded, and there were a lot of ups and downs at that time. So, I call it like an entrepreneurship, on roller coasters, right?
Sure,
Ups and
sure.
downs, yeah. So that's a little bit. And today we are like we about like 11 practices. We're going really good. We have a team of associate doctors, and we have about like 90 plus team members that we all push together to get this organization to the next level.
Sure. Excellent. So from your experience, tell me how important do you think that finding a mentor or how quickly they should hopefully have secured a mentor is important to your success in the field?
Every time, every time we should have a mentor since day one. That's what I believe. Like even with my kids right now, they're little, like 6 and 7, and I keep telling them about the importance of mentors, right? So for them right now, like their parents are going to be their mentor, but then as they grow older, they're going to have different mentors. And my thing is follow a mentor till he or she doesn't know what they're doing anymore, or you've bypassed them and you've like surpassed them and you've gone to the next level. And that's the time we need to find out another mentor. But having a continuous source of mentorship, I think that's the key in anything that we do in life to be successful.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And so, kind of building upon that, I would ask. Uh, Generally, I'm not sure there's people out there like anywhere else who don't love what they do, right? But generally, I would say that certainly all the dentists I know anyway are really happy being dentists, and so they're kind of
Right.
just focused on the grinding, and they got their head down and they're doing the dentistry. So what would you say as far as the importance of making sure you kind of plan beyond the practice? So the reason I'm asking kind of obviously as it relates to investing and other avenues of income, I mean, talking about, let's say, planning for retirement, right? Or certainly an injury or something, right? That could potentially take you out of the workforce. And you guys are pretty dependent upon your physical health, right? So certainly within
Right,
your
right.
hands. So kind of how important is it to start thinking about, trying to add on to that and not be so limited?
No, that's a great question because as a dentist and or as any medical practitioner, we always trading time for money, right? And what's happening is we stop working, the income stops. or if something happened, like some mishap happened, like you just said, like, if you have wrist, or there's a disability or whatever, right? So we always need to think at the back of our mind, like right after graduation, we need to start thinking about, all right, cool, we got this career, which is going to be really great, but what else can we do to supplement this income or this lifestyle? And one of the things that I personally believe in, and I like, is near and dear to my heart, is real estate investing. Um, I have a lot of colleagues, I have a lot of buddies that they are in stocks, they're in like bonds, mutuals, and all that stuff. But for me, that never worked out because I never understood the whole scenario with this whole, the paper stuff. Like I call it paper stuff because they're all papers, right? You're trading paper for
Sure,
paper.
sure.
So it's not in my control. I can't control it. I'm just giving it away to some, financial advisor, and then those guys are still going to get paid regardless if I get paid or not. And if there's the market goes down, there's a downturn in the market, those guys are just going to wash their hands and they go away, right? So for me, if I were to secure my financial future, my retirement, uh, you know, in the event something happens, my biggest investment asset class would be like real estate, because that is something where I feel like it's a physical property. It's something which always appreciates over time, even though there are ups and downs. But overall, that it's something where you have some sort of semi control on it.
Sure.
So
It's
that's my
nice
take
to
on it.
it's nice too. I mean, just the variety of options that there are, right? When you're looking at the world of real estate investing, I mean, between, markets or property class or property type, or even how active or not active, passive you want to be, in the investment.
Right.
You work with a partner or do it yourself, or, there's just the possibility is just kind of endless. And so in the few conversations I've had with dentists and, who are interested in learning more. And that's kind of what I'll always say. They'll say, like, what can we do? I'm like, name it, right? I mean, every deal can be different. We can structure it however you want. You can be as active or passive as you want. I mean, there's just possibilities are endless.
100%. And there's so many
Yeah.
deals out there. You just need to know what your goal is. And, as a dentist, as a practicing, like a full-time practitioner, I always keep saying that I still feel our main thing should be our main thing, which is what we do, like dentistry. Never try to trade like dentistry to do something else which you're not good at, because that's where guys like you are there, right? And there are other professionals who can handle the day-to-day activity that's going on in the real estate investing area. So it's a good thing to learn, and it's a good thing to know and have knowledge and get educated. But it's a different thing to run the whole show by yourself.
Sure. And so for yourself personally, how do you manage your time between, your day job, right, doing dentistry and then investing on the side and podcasting and multiple offices? I mean, is it really just a function of having a solid team in place and partnerships, or are you just a up early, late to bed kind of guy and run a really tight schedule? I mean, how is it that you can be successful in running all these things?
It's all of the above.
All right.
Right? First thing I would say is there's team. So we definitely have to be heavily reliant on a team and making sure the team understands the whole dynamics and they understand what it takes and they're all on the same page. That's number one. So team and team culture. Number two is I love waking up early, of course, and try to be focused and trying to get everything jotted down.
Yeah, just lucky you.
Yeah, I mean that's where I think I find my peace time. And with three little kids, it's hard
Uh,
to do it, later on in the day.
sure.
And finally, it's all about, like, let's say if like for me, real estate, I love real estate, but for me, it's more about focusing on my business first and letting the professionals run the real estate arena. I am actually active in some of the deals, but it's not like I'm full time. I'm more like a co-pilot, co-GP kind of scenario.
Sure.
But not I'm not the main person running the show. I'm not the asset manager, like trying to run the whole place. So as a takeaway, I would say if anyone who's really, really busy, the best way to get started in real estate is through passive investment.
Agreed. And how did you get started in that way? Was this just somebody that was in your personal circle, or how much importance do you put on networking, either through events or just trying to meet people, proactively going out, and looking for partnerships, or did they just kind of come to you through one way or another? I mean, obviously you meet a lot of people, through practicing,
Right.
but so I guess how much effort did you put into actually trying to make connections?
Lots of effort.
Okay.
When I say loss of effort, I mean like it's got to be like intentional.
Right.
I started when I started with real estate, it was like 3 years ago. I started first with Grant Cardone's Real Estate Summit, and that's where I went for the
Okay.
first time.
Hmm.
Trust me, Michael, I was the only dentist in the entire 2,500 people room, right? And for me, the first time when I went to that summit, I mean, there was loud music, there was DJ playing, there was like 2,500 people. Everybody's talking real estate. They're bankers, they're brokers, they're CPAs. I mean, you name it, but not a single dentist. And one thing that really caught my attention was, where are the dentists? Why aren't they here? Right. And it was really different because the vibe, the whole networking, people, everybody wants to know each other, right? So it's a different ball game. And one thing I learned was, the more it's a numbers game, the more people you know, the more we can connect with, the more networking we have, and that's how deal flow comes through. That's how
Sure.
partnerships are formed, right?
Right.
That's how we have connections. If you need something like a service, I mean, you'll just find out, like, one of those guys is doing something exactly what you're looking for.
Right.
So I think network is your net worth. And that is where I put heavy, heavy emphasis on. We should definitely get out of our comfort zone and go and meet people, understand, get educated, and just connect.
And so you mentioned that you're working with a partner, right? How did that partnership kind of form and then develop over the years and end up where it is now?
Me and him, we met at the summit. And after
Oh,
that,
okay.
then, him and I, we went to different summits. So we channeled off. So he stuck with Cardone and he stuck with that summit. And then I went with Brad Sumrock and his multifamily deals. And one thing what I learned was, there's one thing where you attend those events, but then there's another thing where you can start venturing a little bit higher into the masterminds.
Sure.
So the masterminds, they're not cheap. They are definitely a good investment, but the quality of people that you meet in there, right? I mean, that's like a different league. And that's where I started seeing, like, okay, if this guy is paying 5 digits to join like for a year, what's going on with him? Like, what does he do? What does she do? So
Right.
that's where we started kind of filtering a lot of the crowd. And that's where I felt like, we're kind of we met quality people as
Yeah.
we went up the tier.
Sure, sure. That's kind of almost like parallel to Ivy League schools, right? I mean, everybody in college is there to get the education, whatever. But then when you get
Right.
into those Ivy Leagues, it's more, it's beyond the education. It's the networks, right? It's the people you're going to meet and start rubbing shoulders with.
Precisely, precisely. And there's always, like, they're trying to hook you up or you're trying to hook them up. I mean, it's like, favors are passed on, like vice versa. It's awesome.
Sure. I also get, I'm part of a few different networks like that myself, and of course, a myriad of Facebook groups. And generally, that's the first thing people are commenting. It's all referrals, right? Hey, anybody knows somebody here to do this, or anybody have a number for this kind of guy, or anybody
Right.
want a JV on this deal I got in this area? So, yeah, it's, I'd
And
agree.
it's huge. And it's huge. And that's where a lot of the audience, like your audience, like Dennis, they'll ask, oh, I want to get into real estate, but how do I get started? That's the first question they would like to ask. And honestly, there's no magic bullet. You really have to put in the steps, the work, the effort, and start going to these events.
Sure. So you actually kind of segued for me here into the next little section I was going to do, and kind of try to really get a deep dive, or I suppose not too deep, but deeper dive into your journey here, and yours personally, and generally, Dennis, and how that end up kind of exploring and learning and starting in these investments. So the first thing I'd like to ask is why did you decide to kind of step beyond dentistry and look into multiple streams and or real estate investing alongside your practice?
It's one of those things where I still feel like the best ROI is our business. That's one, right? We definitely want to do that first. So, there's no mistake about that part. The other aspect of passive, so about real estate, is again, the different benefits that you get. So it's not only passive. I mean, we are looking at tax depreciation breaks. Then we're looking at, like, in a deal when it's refied, you're getting your money back and you still can invest in it. You're still getting cash flow, even though it's not that much, but, you're still getting something for nothing, right? And of course, like, the money left in the bank, I mean, what is that going to do,
Right.
right? It's either going to get blown away, or, something happens, or like in the case in California, the bank shut down and the money was gone, right?
Right. Right.
So
So
those are the kind of fears that, a lot of times that was bothering me. So I wanted to put in something which is a real investment class.
I see. I got it. So just in a general sense, you pretty early on just understood and recognized kind of the need for an additional layer of safety, basically, right? It was like you didn't want to be solely relied upon just the practice. You kind of realize that you should have some other irons in the fire.
Yeah, it's either that or either stocks, right?
Right. Yeah. And or trading paper, as you said. So,
Right, right.
okay. And so, along
I
those
mean, don't
lines,
don't get
then,
me wrong. The stocks. I mean, there are people who are killing it in stocks, but you
sure.
gotta know what to do and how to do it. Unlike, like a novice like myself. I mean, if I'm just gonna hand it to the advisor, I might as well just burn the money. Okay,
Right, right. And
so
I feel
that's my
like too,
analogy.
that's especially one of the areas you mentioned earlier. There are professionals there to do that. It's really hard for just kind of the lay person to just try to execute some trades and make it do well, right? I mean, because there's really no successful way to time the market. So you're just
Mm-mm.
buying in what everybody else is buying, or you're guessing on stock. You don't have the time to research. You don't have the algorithms to trade as quickly as the big firms are doing, right? So I feel like that's one area in particular where you really need a professional. So I'm not even sure I would bother trying to do much on my own except for, maybe a 401k or something where it's some long-term plan and I'm not messing much with it.
Right, unless if you're raised up and you actually work your entire life as a career in the financial world, with dealing with hedge funds, dealing with all those guys, like uh, apart from that, I don't see a layman like you and I trying to kind of time the market and trying to
Right.
make a killing in the stock market. I
Right.
mean, you could get lucky, but that's about it.
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the interruption. I'm sure you're enjoying the episode. I just had a quick message I wanted to share with you. If you've been following the podcast now for a while, it probably means either one of two things. Either one, you have an inquisitive mind by nature and you're just curious about the world of real estate investing, and so you tune in to get as much information from us as you can. Hopefully, we can continue to provide you quality content that you find valuable and you'll stick with us for a while longer. Or number two is you're someone who works hard for your money and you're tired of seeing your hard-earned money waste away to inflation, bank fees, or investment fees, or any other number of fees that erode the value of your money over time. And because of that, you're interested in exploring how real estate can provide you benefits through cash flow to supplement, place your income, tax incentives, and generational wealth to provide for you and your family for years to come. And not to mention being able to be a part of projects that bring back beauty to properties that, quite frankly, have seen better days, and in which some cases have led to revitalization of the adjacent properties, other properties along the whole street, and even within a whole neighborhood. At my company, Leroy Properties, we believe in the power of real estate as a wealth creation tool, and we are committed to helping other people explore and understand the world of real estate investing as well. By helping them, my goal is to help as many people as I can achieve financial freedom through the vehicle of real estate. My wife is a dentist who works hard all day long at the office providing care for her patients. For a long time, she just stuck her money in a bank account because she didn't know what her best move was. And she was frustrated because she knew there are better things she should be doing with her money. She just didn't know what those things were or even how to get started. And it's because I know there are so many other dentists in the same situation that I am committed to helping them learn more about real estate as an investment vehicle so they can benefit from the power of being able to grow their money exponentially faster than they can by just setting it in a bank savings account or even a CD. If this is something you're interested in and you'd like to be a part of, click the link below in the description of the podcast. If you're someone who's tired of watching the value of your money erode away in a bank account or take wild swings up and down with the stocks in your investment account, I can show you how investing in real estate provides solid cash flow to supplement or replace your regular income, tax benefits such as deferred tax liability and reduced tax liability, generational wealth, and legacy, so that you can achieve true financial freedom and have the time and energy to put into every other single area of your life and live life on your terms. So don't forget to click the link below to learn more about how I can help you grow your money quicker and safer than many people are able to do on their own, all while being able to take advantage of the tax benefits and building a legacy for you and your family. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the episode. And I've heard one time too, as far as information, right? You're trying to find you either learn some information, so you're going to try to short a stock, is it going to go down or it's going to go up, right? But by the time we get that information, the
Too
market's
late.
already reflected it, right? Yeah, because everybody above us in the chain had that days, weeks, or months ago, right? So that doesn't work,
So it's like a curve, right? We got to know. You got to act like in the stock market. You got to act before the curve. By the
right?
time we get the news, it's like all the way up there, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
so the train's passed.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Um, so, what do you think, in your opinion, are some common misconceptions or pitfalls that new dentists should be aware of when they're starting out as an associate? Either looking forward for their career, or to kind of along with the conversation here, is maybe they're exploring some other investment options, right? What's maybe some obstacles or some trouble that either you've encountered or you've seen encountered, or maybe you could just think of that they should probably be wary of, or be on the lookout for, or try to avoid?
With new associate dentists coming out of school, the first thing I would say is that one of the misconception, and a lot of times these guys get really hyped up in school. It's that, oh yeah, you once you get a dental license, life's set, and you will be making a lot of money, right? I think
Sure.
that's one thing they need to take out of their mind. The way it works is you got to provide value, and you have to put your head down and just learn, because that is the key. Trying to put in the reps, it's like going to the gym. Don't expect, like, to have like a full, like a model looking body if you haven't put in the work,
Sure.
right? So yes, the reward is there in dentistry for sure. You will definitely be making it, but you got to put in the reps. You have to provide the value. So the first job that I always say that you get is, you got to understand, like, rather than asking, hey, what am I going to get, what is the bonus, what is the compensation, like, first question should be asking is, what kind of value can I provide the organization, and how can I get better, right? I mean, when you turn the table around, I mean, you will see a host of opportunities open up. And that's where I feel like most of the young dentists coming out of school, they will have the biggest bang for the buck, because once they become valuable, now the demand is going to go up. Now they can ask and demand for what they want to get paid, not the other way
Sure.
around. So they got to put
Right.
in the work first. And the same thing goes with investment. You got to get educated first. Just don't go into something blindly and then hoping for the best. And if something goes wrong, then it's like, yeah, okay, good luck, right? So know what you're getting into, do your due diligence, do your homework, and just get educated.
Sure. So actually, well, I guess I kind of all lumped it into one question, but I was going to ask. So, and as they start investing, what same thing, kind of what kind of pitfall, and that's what you're saying there is really just get before you try to start something, right? Get educated. I suppose it's not really
Hmm.
one of those things where you should jump in both feet and then try to figure it out, right? That could be pretty costly, lead to pretty costly mistakes.
Yeah, another myth too is, then you don't understand, like, real estate. When we talk about real estate investment, it's a long-term game. It's not a get rich quick. It's, I call it, get rich, but get rich slow, but for sure.
Right. Get rich right, right, is kind of like the key.
Right, right. It's
Hmm.
not like you get rich overnight. No, it's not going to happen in real estate.
Sure. Yep. Shouldn't anyway.
Right, then there's
um,
something wrong.
right. Yeah, I'm not sure you're doing something right, or so whoever's managing your books isn't doing something right.
Right.
I like too. It's kind of, it's like that value investing, which I don't know what kind of strategies you guys do when you're looking at properties, but most of what we look at is kind of value add stuff, right? Through renovations or whatever, mismanagement or something. And so a lot of the people I'll talk to, they're always asking, well, what about a downturn? Or aren't you concerned? The market's dipping or interest rates are going up. It's like, look, when you're buying these assets and you're buying them right, you don't really need to worry about those little fluctuations, right? Because the value's there. It's not like we're getting caught in these speculative purchases where people are
Hmm.
overpaying because they're expecting the value to be up here, right? It's like we know what it's worth based on what's happening right now, and we're buying it well enough where we can afford some fluctuation, and that's okay.
Here's the thing. As long as I would say the deal and the asset is in a right location. When I say right location, it's in a booming market, job growth, population growth, landlord friendly. I mean, as long as it's in one of those areas, and like, you're gonna have occupancy over 95 or over 90%, let's put it that way. The key is, in real estate, we can still do underwriting. We can still do some sort of a projection, like a math, like, where is the comp? Where is it heading to? What was the historical data? What is the cap rate, right? So all that information, we can translate it to, hey, what is the projection going to look like?
Right.
Now, the thing is, unlike stocks, you cannot do that for sure, right? Now, with the interest rates, a lot of the deals that are going under is because everyone 2 or 3 years ago, they were on, most of them were on bridge loans, right? So everybody had a low rate, they underwrote it, they wrote down like high performing, like, returns. So those are the guys who are in trouble. But if it's
Right.
done conservatively, you and I, we both know that it's going to work out just fine, regardless if the interest rate is at 10%.
Right. Yeah, because you just change your underwriting, right, to match whatever the conditions are or where you're expecting them to go. I mean, when you're making projections, you're considering all those things. So if you're moving forward with a deal, the deal works based on the numbers you've used for underwriting, right? I also like too that you touched on landlord friendly, because that seems to be becoming more and more of a problem, right? As people
Oh,
or localities are adopting more of these laws that are some anti-landlord, right? I mean, it's amazing to me some of the rights that people can have to your property, right? When they're in some cases not paying.
I don't want to be political, but it's like pretty much when I see like states like Florida, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, these are the states that are actually thriving. And the reason being because, they're tax breaks, they are more business friendly, they're landlord friendly. So when you look at the whole overall aspect, it's just a booming economy.
Right,
Unlike, other states like New York or California or the state that I'm in, Illinois. So with that being said, I mean, we can always put the deal together with the proper valuation and knowing the
right.
numbers like inside out. And especially now, this is like November, what are we? November 2023. This is the time where the real estate is actually on a discount because it's a buyer's market.
Right. Yep. Do you just kind of as a little aside here, do you look for investment deals where your practices are, or do you set up practices where you've bought some properties so you kind of have, some of your assets together, or are those not a factor for either one of
Great
those?
question. Great question. So the whole time we were just focusing on central Illinois, northwest Indiana, and Illinois area, basically, right? So since we had a deal in Tennessee, that's where our next location is for the practice.
Okay, cool.
So it's in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and Murfreesboro is in Rutherford County, and I just heard that Rutherford is one of the fastest, or is like the fastest growing county in all of Tennessee. So
Okay,
that's where I kind of do my data like from. So it's really helped me actually in my business as well to scout
okay.
locations, and pretty much I
Uh-huh.
mean it's the same data that we look for, right?
Right. Yeah, I imagine so, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to have a practice, in an area where it's not doing very well. The state or the city is not doing very
Right.
well.
Right. Declining areas or something. Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Precisely.
sense. The demographics would pretty much line up pretty well when you're looking to buy a property or open a business.
Right. I mean, depending on the clientele for dental practice, we have like the blue collar workers, and that's exactly who we're looking for. People
Sure.
who are renting an apartment and they can also get their dental work done. So it's kind of like the same target population.
Sure. All right. So kind of thinking of now again of these associates and kind of building upon my last question as far as when an associate starts and they're going down their journey, and what kind of shift in a mindset is required, do you think, for an associate who to kind of be successful in either buying into the practice or opening their own or exploring other investments? Um, do you think that most come out with those, goals or plans, or do you think many or have to or come out with either, the employee mindset? And if so, what kind of shift do they have to make to kind of realize, I mean, like maybe this isn't the way to go?
Great question. The first thing I would say is they got to work on their own mindset first and their own belief system, because the problem with not only associate doctors, right, with everybody, with human beings in nature, we have goals that are this high, right? But our thought process, it's like right here. So we're still
Sure.
operating from the scarcity mindset. And it took me a while to understand that for myself. And I'm telling you that from my own experience. So when I graduated, I was always trying to find the cheapest thing on sale, the cheapest apartment that I could rent, or the cheapest insurance or the cars, whatever, right? You name it. But once when you start understanding, like, it's not saving, it's more about increasing the top line, right? How do you change that mindset from savings to top line? And that's where I think a whole host of opportunities and door open up, because once when you understand that. Second thing, it's having self-belief, self-confidence, self-esteem. It's basically a reflection of yourself. Like, how much do you feel confident? Like, how much do you believe in yourself, right? And that's
Sure.
where I think a lot of people take it to the next level. Otherwise, if that belief system is low and it's down, I mean, regardless of whatever you do, opportunities are going to come your way, and you're never, ever, ever going to take advantage. And
Right.
another problem with that, with the belief lid, is like John Maxwell always says it: if your belief lid is low, you will never be able to employ or hire somebody who is at the top like notch level, because you are not there. So it's like we always have to elevate ourselves before we can elevate anybody else and before we can start seeing opportunities. So doing that first and foremost, I think is a key to success and a key to have that shift in the mindset that, hey, now you're ready for, opening up the practice, because all the tactics that's going to come over time. Reading a
Sure.
P&L, reading business, learning how to employ, learning how the operations work. Those are all down the road, but elevating your mindset and your belief system, that is a key.
I think it was actually in one of your podcasts too that I heard they mentioned how you got to have faith, right? And faith is taking that first step without seeing the whole staircase, right? Was that on one of your podcasts, or is taking
Correct,
the first
correct.
step without being to see the whole path? I'm like, wow, that kind of really makes a lot of sense.
Bob Proctor's always has said, and it just stuck in my head. Faith is seeing the invisible, and then he says like it's believing in the incredible, and it yields to results where the masses call it is impossible. So that is one of those things where I feel like if you don't have faith in yourself, man, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah, I can totally see that. You're just kind of too scared to really make any big moves, and really no change happens without big moves, right?
Right. I mean, in a quantum of time, what is going to happen? Because I always fast forward myself, like 40 years, 50 years from now, where I'm like bedridden, can't move. Right, life's over, on the last journey of my life. I mean, these times we're going to reflect upon it. Staring up
Right,
at the ceiling on a bed. I don't know where I'm going to be. Right.
right,
And you want to have memories. You want to have like good memories. You don't want to have regrets that it was something because money stopped you or fear stopped you. Right. Just
right,
go on and pull the trigger and just get it done, get the job done. I
right.
mean, what's the biggest thing? We're going to lose some monetary value, but at least you lived a fulfilled life.
Yeah, and I mean, I've made plenty of mistakes over the years, but at least generally there's some lesson you can learn, right? So,
Always.
like touching a hot stove when you're a kid or something, it hurts like hell, but at least now oh, I shouldn't do that anymore. So it's
But see, if the parents told you that, you would never listen,
yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah, well, actually, I was
You
gonna
got to
say, so that's
experience
the
it.
importance of mentors, right? Because they
Hmm.
would have been able
Hmm.
to tell you not to do that, but probably still try it anyway. But yeah, that's true. Oh goodness. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate it. But did you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think you covered it all, Michael. It was
Oh,
great.
all right. Well, I was going to say, this has been good, but all good things must come to an end, as they say. So this is part of the section I like to do, kind of just my ending or closing questions. So I got just a few more for you. So not totally the end. I hope you weren't in a rush to hang up here. Um, but I did want to ask, which we kind of touched on earlier, but what role did networking and building relationships play in a real estate investing journey? And how do you go about establishing and nurturing them, which you pretty much touched on, right? So we can maybe kind of just maybe recap this and kind of glance over, but primarily, um, you said kind of doing like the classes and things, right? And
Sure.
really, and I like too that you said, which is I had recently heard for the first time, but it was really being intentional, right, about like networking because mine network building previously had just kind of been like one of the things that I mentioned, it just kind of fall in my lap, right? A relationship I happened to meet through somebody. And but so being intentional about it, I've found is
Hmm.
really important and kind of the way that it happens because it doesn't always just fall into your lap.
No, that of course. Um, with networking, there's one story. Like for example, I had um, this one other guy in Toronto, and he is part of, and we are partners now. So partners in the Toronto deal. It's a fiveplex where they're building right now. So the way I came about with him was he's part of our Facebook group, and he actually came in and he introduced himself, and we hung around a little bit. We had a few chats, and then later on, next thing we found out he had this deal. He got us into the deal, and it was all basically from networking, right? So he's got this deal, and now what happened? Like after a few months, what's happening is like my sister there, she's got a condominium over there in Toronto, and she wanted to get rid of it. She cannot find a good agent, like a real estate agent, because she lives here, so she's not living there. So the cool part was I called this guy up. I was like, "Hey, do you have someone that you know that can help my sister out? She wants to get rid of a condo." And he's like, "Yeah, I have a very good friend, and I'm going to introduce him to you, and you
Oh,
guys can
cool.
connect, and you guys can take it from there." And after what, an hour, I connected with the agent and we kicked it off. We got along, and then I got my sister introduced, and now it's on the market. So long story short, it's if I hadn't networked with this guy, I wouldn't have known, and I would have been searching through Google or something else, right?
Right, right, right.
So I mean, networking, I mean, it's so vast because it's never calculated, but it's always going to work out in some shape, form, or another.
Right. And you really never know either, when you're talking to somebody when that relationship might become valuable, right? I mean, it
Absolutely.
could be somebody you have no idea right now, this guy is an electrician or something, and you're like, I don't need any electrician. So most people would probably brush that off, right? But years down the line, you might happen to be working in that guy's backyard, and you need an electrician. So now just flip through your Rolodex and you're all set.
And even my Murfreesboro deal, where we actually opened up our dental office, where we just signed the lease. The guy, the landlord, is the same person that I was about to partner with in that deal, in that apartment and that retail
All right.
complex. So him and I, we already knew each other, and so he gave me a deal, and we worked it out. We worked out the kinks, and there you go. Now I'm there. So, I mean, it's played out so many ways in my life. I can't even keep a count of anymore.
All right. Well, geez, now you're making me feel like I got to hang up here and start going network right now. I'm
Hey, you know what? Maybe like majority of the networking that you're gonna do, it's probably not gonna come to any kind of fruition. But hey, you're gonna have that one or two or three person that is gonna
right.
just help you out, to just propel you, and
Yeah,
that's what
that's
you're looking
really like
for.
the 80/20 rule applies here, right? I mean, 20% of the relationships are going to get you 80% of the value, right? I mean,
Exactly, exactly.
so moving on here, you've obviously taken a lot of risks, right? And kind of made some big moves to get where you are. Have you developed any specific strategies or mindsets or tricks for kind of mitigating or assessing or analyzing the risks? Or, I mean, obviously they're going to be pretty calculated, right? You're not just, jumping in with your eyes closed. But so, do you have any kind of any thought process or something specific that kind of helps you? Do you pros cons list or something, or is it just kind of
Yeah.
weighing
So
everything?
there's a phase where we actually have the thought process, and there's a phase where we actually do the all the homework. So the homework is a time where you do all the negatives come out, right? So you're gonna make sure you put everything, or put all the cards on the table, the goods, the bads, count them, what's going on. Once when you've decided to go for it and the pros outweigh the cons, that's the time you should just go all out and make sure 110% you taking action and getting it done. Because a lot of times I've noticed in the past, what I used to do was I laid it all out, I did all analysis, and when it came time to do the work, I froze.
Right. Been there. Yep.
Cold feet, right? Cold feet
Sure.
right away. It hits you. You have this terror feeling going on, and you're like, "Oh shoot, I don't know if I can do this." So I would say, and to answer your question, is once you've done the work, cast it out aside at that time, because you've already done the analysis. You don't need to do it a second time. And when it's
Right.
time to go, let's go, right? And that's the takeaway.
Yeah, I've done that. I've got quite a few marketing lists that never went out just because, I spent all the time to put these lists together and then saw the bill, is going to be $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever to mail to all these people, some direct mail or something. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, start second guessing, do I want to scrub the list further? Do I want to win the list down? I mean, that's a
Hmm.
lot of money. And you kind of just thinking of it as spending the money as opposed to, really trusting the process and understanding that this thousand may be spent, the next thousand may be spent, but eventually, that's going to come back in spades.
And that's what I call believe in yourself, because if you've done the analysis, you believe in yourself and you believe in your abilities, that's a time, I think, when you should take once you take action, you know that you're going to get it done, regardless of
Right.
what the outcome is. It's never
Right.
guaranteed, of course, but you always know that you can trust yourself
Sure.
to make the job done, to get the job, to make it happen.
Absolutely. So just my last question for you here on our way out. Knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give yourself at the beginning of your journey to make yourself get there faster, easier, and smoother, if any?
I would always say, still, I believe it till today, is invest in yourself. Always continue learning, never stop learning. And then whatever you're learning, always be laser focused on what you're trying to achieve and be intentional about it. And if I just follow that advice, I think if I gave myself that advice when I was 20, I think I would be a lot more further.
Yeah, I hear you. I think, especially learning, it really builds confidence, right? When you just feel like you know enough, it really adds a whole nother layer of confidence in yourself and your ability. Like you can just handle problems when they come up because you know how, right? I mean,
100%.
yeah.
Thank you for listening to Cavities to Cashflow. We want you to know that we appreciate you taking the time to listen and are happy about being part of your real estate journey. As a reminder, please give us a hand by making our content more valuable for you by providing some feedback and let us know what you're enjoying, what you might wish was different, and how we can make our episodes even better and more helpful for you. If you thought this was really valuable, please feel free to spread the word and share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Cavities to Cashflow movement. So for those of you who decide to share this episode and help spread our message, send me a message letting me know that you did so on any social media like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn, and I have a special surprise for you. And remember, a solid investment is like a solid set of teeth. Both leave a lasting impression and will take care of you for years to come. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you for the next episode.